old up to their third birthday are tested. It also allows parents to opt out if they wish. A bill passed from the House will update a child's immunization certificate to include a space indicating whether the minor has been tested for lead poisoning starting January 1st. WSGW News Time 9:10. I'm Mike Percha. Here's WNEM First Alert meteorologist Matthew Mondro.
Wednesday has a high of 84 degrees with increasing cloud coverage, not as much sunshine as the last couple of days, but still warm. That's thanks to the southwest wind gusting to 25 miles per hour. For tonight, we'll have a low of 64 degrees. The rain starting to arrive after midnight. This will start in our northwestern zones, places like Clare and Houghton Lake, and then more periods of rain expected as we go into your Thursday. We'll have a high of 70 tomorrow as well. Once we go into Thursday night, we start to see that rain migrating towards the east. When things wrap up, a half of an inch to an inch of rain can be expected in the heaviest areas. The exact placement of that heaviest rain still a little bit up for question here, but overall we are expecting this into the southern half of the TV5 viewing area, and then by Friday some sunshine, but a high of 64. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matthew Mondro.
Currently we have 67 degrees under sunny skies here at WSGW.
Now, the only local radio talk show offering you the chance to ask your questions and express your opinions from around your block to around the world. The Art Lewis Show is on 100.5 and 790 WSGW and online, WSGW.com. The Art Lewis Show is presented by Westside Decorating Center.
Yes, indeed, Westside Decorating Center, located at 5789 State Street in Saginaw. Newly expanded showroom and expanded product lines, everything you need for home decorating. You will find it at Westside Decorating Center. Good morning to you. I'm Art Lewis. Later on, after 10 o'clock news, we'll have open phones for you. Renew Physical Therapy with a subject of focus this morning. But we're going to start out this morning talking to a man whose name is well known in this area because of his 30 years of work in all kinds of government and community organizations. But he has recently been named the new director of the Michigan State Land Bank Authority. And we say good morning to Joseph Rivet. Good morning to you.
Morning. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you with us this morning. So I think before we get into some of the nitty gritty, Joseph, give us just a little background of your career and what drew you into government community service work.
Well, when my dad was an elected official at the township and county level, starting about the time I was 7-8 years old. So was always attracted to public service and the reward that comes with that, simply helping people, right? So that I think that's the core of it. I've enjoyed dealing with and trying to serve the people of my community, and now the entire state. It has a significant amount of reward.
So the new position you have as director of the Michigan State Land Bank Authority. For those of us who are clueless about this, what is the State Land Bank Authority? Tell us what it does.
Well, the primary goal is to take unproductive property and make it productive again, essentially put it back on the tax roll. So as you know, in many parts of the state, there are abandoned or derelict properties. People, the taxes stop being paid. They become, part of the usually local government through, tax report closure. And so the approach of the state land bank and our partners throughout the state is to take those properties and make them again productive. Obviously we do that through a number of means, but that's the primary goal. And, there are many. In our inventory alone, we have over 2,500 parcels across the state. You're going to find tens of thousands of these kinds of properties that we are working on to try and make, again, productive and well utilized properties for the local tax base.
Does the holdings of the land banks ebb and flow with the economy? Sure,
and clearly there was a significant spike. So the land bank law was created about 20 years ago, 2003. Obviously, when we had the economic crisis of 2008 through 2010, it just absolutely exploded. And then there's other community issues as well, right? So Genesee County has, I think, over 10,000 properties in their inventory, and so yes, the economy does have quite a bit of impact on it, but it's an ongoing issue, and we are, now over the last couple decades trying to attack it through this mechanism, and we're certainly finding some success.
What's the role of the state land bank versus the local land banks?
Well, we have two primary functions. The first is we handle all statewide sort of property. So when the state decommissions a prison or a hospital, or has other properties through the DNR or other organizations that they want to liquidate and make productive again, they come into our inventory. We also have all the areas of the state that are not covered by a local land bank. And so, there are 52 partner land banks. Grand Rapids is trying to get one up and running, so they'll be our 52nd. And if a community is not served by a local land bank, then we by default take it. We also are involved in some communities that have countywide land banks as well. So, for instance, we have a little over 400 parcels in Highland Park, Michigan, even though there is a Wayne County land bank. So it's sort of a marriage. In addition, we have interlocal agreements, and so the state charges us with sort of partnering, overseeing, and ensuring the entire state is covered by our activity.
And much of your holdings come up for sale, don't they, at some point in time?
Yeah, they're all for sale for all intents and purposes, right? Our goal is to sell or dispose of, we call it disposition. The reality is we have everything from, we got a 86-acre parcel right now in Plymouth Township, Michigan, that there's a significant amount of interest in. It was an old prison site. So we're working on a pretty comprehensive development deal to, a property that the house was abandoned, derelict. We tore it down through a blight program, and we sell the lot to a neighbor so that it's maintained and improves the community moving forward. So we have that extraordinary spectrum of activity. Currently, we are administering through state appropriation $150 million to attack blight throughout the state of Michigan. So we're involved in a pretty significant blight elimination program. And we are, trying to address all those things across the state.
And safe to assume any parcel in your inventory is off the tax rolls.
Correct. Right. Not it's off the tax rolls, and it actually, sort of qualifies for, brownfield tax increment finance, all kinds of specific and programs that can help it, generate some activity and move forward
for the new owner.
For sure, right?
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. So yeah. None of them are generally paying taxes. Now, there is a small caveat. We do have the ability to have properties donated to us, or we can work to acquire properties if it's beneficial to an overall community development. Say we own 5 parcels, but there's one sitting there that we don't own, but we know that if we put that in our inventory, it's going to spur some development. We can go acquire or have it donated to us. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, the great percentage, 99% are going to be, basically foreclosed or public property that no one's paying taxes on.
Any attempts to go after the former owners on some of these properties?
Sure. I mean, if they're polluted, you go through the whole EGLE process of trying to deal with those kinds of circumstances. But for the most part, the property's been foreclosed on by your, county treasurer. And so all efforts had been made usually by the county treasurer to acquire those taxes. And so, by the time it gets to us, it's a problem usually for a community. And our job is to try and, make it productive again. And that's what we attempt to do.
All right, hang on. I'm going to take a break. We'll come back for one more segment with Joseph Rivet, the new director of the Michigan State Land Bank Authority, and we will return with him after these notes. First of all, let me see if I can give away some money. That would be nice. It's time to play the WSGW Fall into Cash presented by Begic Nursery and Garden Center. Right now, you can qualify to win a daily cash prize of $2,000 by entering this word online. The word this hour is dress, D-R-E-S-S. If you go for a job interview, dress for success. It's an Alpha Media company-wide contest. Must be 18 or older to play. One winner chosen each day. Complete rules at WSGW.com. Fall into Cash presented by Begic Nursery and Garden Center on WSGW.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into. And that is MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month. And that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE. 877-26-BIBLE.
I know you're used to hearing automotive dealers sell you cars in commercials, but here's one that's buying cars. McDonald Ford on M47 in Freeland, my friends Tom Jr. and his son Tom III. They want you to know that they're buying cars. And this is a great time because right now prices are up for pre-owned vehicles. So if you have a vehicle you'd like to sell, let me make a suggestion to you. Sit down and email Joe at McDonaldFord.com. Joe at McDonaldFord.com. He will tell you what he needs in the ways of photos of your car, the mileage, the VIN number. And after he gets all that information, he will then render a number to you, an offer. You decide. If you take the offer, payment is on the spot. There's no extra fees. It includes all paperwork and lien release. You put cash in your pocket today. It's that simple. Tell your friends and family, too. Maybe they'll want to do it. Again, contact Joe at McDonaldFord.com. Joe at McDonaldFord.com. McDonald Ford, 6790 Midland Road in Freeland, devoted to helping and serving you.
I'm Neil Cavuto, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Job growth by private employers was much weaker than expected in September. Payroll processing company ADP is reporting 89,000 new private sector jobs created last month. Economists were predicting nearly twice that number. Wage increases appear to be moderating. September pay was up 5.9% from a year ago. The monthly employment report is released on Friday. Higher interest rates continue to weigh on the markets, though futures have been trading mostly higher following yesterday's sell-off. Shares of egg producer Cal-Maine are down nearly 12%. Egg prices have moderated, but that has cut into the company's bottom line as it pays more for its staff and to protect its birds from infection. The company says it is recovering from the avian influenza outbreak, improving supply. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
You can live out your MasterChef dreams when you find a professional on Angie to tackle your dream kitchen remodel. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
Your WSGW morning team.
So what are we supposed to do with this? Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg says here is warning airlines to be ready when wireless companies power up their 5G service next month. He told an airline group Friday that planes won't be allowed to land in poor visibility if they lack equipment to avoid radio interference from 5G. Some aviation experts believe the signals could interfere with equipment that measures the height of planes above the ground. The Federal Communications Commission says, we're granting the licenses. There's no risk of interference. You'll be okay. What do you do with that? You got the FCC saying, no risk. You got the Transportation Secretary saying, don't land if there's poor visibility, if there's 5G posting. We're talking the Transportation Secretary and the FCC. It's the same government. Someone get your stories right, please.
Your morning team, 5:30 to 9 on WSGW.
Back with you on the Art Lewis Show, talking to Joseph Rivet, new director of the Michigan State Land Bank Authority. So what kind of condition are these properties in, and who's responsible for maintaining them while they're in the land bank?
The land banks themselves in various states of condition, right? There's abandoned buildings. Sometimes there are, somewhat reasonably strong structures. And we do a variety of things. We can do rehabilitation. If a property is good enough to be rehabbed and put back in the housing market or reuse as a commercial property, we can do that. We can do what we call stabilization, simply get a building weatherproof enough that it's not going to continue to deteriorate, or that we can do, demolition. So all of those options that exist, and we, do our best to maximize the value of the property as it's received in our inventory, and the county land banks would do the same thing, right? The local land banks are doing the same thing. Obviously, this administration is very interested, Whitmer administration, in increasing housing. Workforce housing is an issue, affordable housing, attainable housing is an issue, and so our focus is to support that effort as well. So if we can rehab a house or a structure and allow for affordable housing, we're certainly going to do that. But once if it becomes the buildings are torn down, it's just a grass lot, we're responsible to maintain those, cut the grass and keep it up.
You mentioned early on, Joe, about $150 million blight reduction. Now, is that something that you administer, or is that money spread out to the various land banks in the state?
Both, of course. We have a portion. The bulk of it would go to the local land banks. Obviously, the major land banks have the bulk of these properties in their inventories. So the most of it is going. We administer it through the local land banks and approve projects that are done. So, yeah, and it's a significant amount of money, 150. But based on some information we've come across, that we have about a $1.5 billion blight issue in the state of Michigan, over 300,000 uninhabited home, properties. And so there's a lot of work to be done. So this is a good step, and, our partner land banks are doing good work.
So you get a piece of property in your inventory, you rehab it or whatever you do to it. How do you go to market with it?
We usually there are ready-made opportunities, but we also, for instance, we're doing a significant project in Ionia. We've torn down a prison facility. We are actually working with that community to develop an RFQ for developers. RFP, we ensure their qualifications and their proposals, and we partner with the local community to create a substantial development. We're doing another one in the city of Brighton. And so we do have relationships with the development community as well. And we reach out and find opportunities that exist.
Individual homes, do you sell those through realtors, or do you have your own realty division?
Uh, uh, we do not have our own realty division, and we really don't have an issue with those circumstances. Usually, we would partner with an agency or organization to rehab a facility, and they would either end up with it or have identified some individuals to utilize it. So, for instance, we would work with a community housing agency, and so we don't do the for sale sign out front, for the most part. We do have one person on our team who does what we call deposition, where her job is to make sure these properties are sold and effectively reutilized. But I wouldn't call it a real estate thing. We get plenty of interest to us.
Do all of these properties have to go through the legal process before you get them?
Sure. And we do have a mechanism in statute to quiet title. We have an expedited quiet title opportunity that exists in the land bank statute. So yes, we can ensure a clean title in pretty short order, but that is part of the process often.
So as you sit there today as the new director of the State Land Bank Authority, what's the most pressing issue you see for you?
Well, with $150 million worth of the blight administration, that's going to take up we have a small but mighty team, as we like to say. There's only 9 of us in the division, and a lot of our efforts are making sure that we efficiently spend the $150 million in blight. But there's an evolution occurring in land banks where, as you say, if the economy's good and we're not getting as many properties in our inventory, the next step for us is to recognize that the land bank is a good tool that communities and developers can utilize and partner with to do positive community development. So we're looking at sort of the next phase. We call it land banking 2.0, where we become actively engaged in community development, and moving in that direction is, developing a strategy for that is sort of the next step.
Well, I could have bet on that with you, because that's what you did in Bay for a long time.
Yeah, look to the future, and look to the future, and as right in our own community, we have plenty of opportunities to do some great development, and we are working with the Saginaw Bay County land banks, of course, and Genesee County, and all the land banks in the area. And so, being from this community, I see some needs and some opportunities, and we'll do our best to make sure that this area is plugged into the process as much as possible. We also have some really good support in the legislature, as you're well aware.
Yeah. So what's the difference in governing from a local level to now at the state level?
We just have to. It's a different approach where you have to partner with locals to get the work done. Right. We're more focused on making sure local land banks and local entities can take full advantage of the significant resources that exist in the state. So part of the work is to provide the technical support and technical simply the technical support to make sure those communities who are very familiar with what's going on in their own backyards are taking full advantage of the resources and opportunities that we can provide them at the state level. So, that's a big part of it for, a big change. Instead of being on the ground on this parcel or this project, we make sure, we're supporting those locals to get the work done in their communities.
Well, I wish you well with it. Congratulations on your new position. And we'll be talking to you down the road, Joseph.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye now. Joseph Rivet, and he is the new director of the Michigan State Land Bank Authority. We'll take a break. When we come back, open phones for the remainder of the program. So you can give us a call at 989-752-6111.